is not very good, so we sleep, right? And then we begin with the first we discussed about last week class activity. Uh, in case you still not really understand, you don't really understand. If you, in case you don't really understand, let's pay attention so that you can have better understanding. Okay, so last week we are talking the last activity is I would like you to create a critical path. There is a table. There is a table. There is some activity from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H, right? And then there's from start, get material from A, get material for B, turn A on a latte, and turn B on blah blah police, assembly, and finish. Okay, so from this table, what you need to do first is you need to be able to transform this table into the diagram. Okay, so the first step you need to transform this table into the diagram. Okay. So when we start with A, so because this is A is the start, so we put A as in this corner, A. And then the next slide is there is activity B and activity C. Okay? First we take a look into B first. Both activity B and activity C, the predecessor or the previous activity is activity A. So both activity B and C, the predecessor or the previous activity or the one step before are the activity A. So we write B and C here because and then you put an arrow A to B and A to C because B and C they say that B and C all previous activity are A. So A is followed by B and C. Okay. Next activity is activity D. They say that activity D, previous activity is B and C. So activity D before the activity beforehand is activity B and C. So when you write D here, there is a two activity before activity D, which is B and C. Because here D predecessor or previous activity are B and C. So you write D and then put arrow to the from B and C here. Okay. And then activity E. Before the predecessor activity are B and C. So both of these like B and C they put together into one arrow, so they combine together into E. So activity E, predecessor or previous activity, and activity B and C. Yeah, till now please digest first. Next, D, E, and F. F, the predecessor or activity from activity F is activity E. So E and then F. So activity F, the previous activity is activity E. So you put it here F and then put E to F. Next one is G. G, you say that G there is a two predecessor. Activity G, predecessor or the previous activity before G are D and F. So when you write G here, D, put D and F, D and F, they combine together into G. When the last one is H, so when the H, activity H, the predecessor or the previous activity or the activity before F, H is activity G. So when you write H, activity before H is G. So this is the diagram. Please digest first before I continue. In case you haven't really got the, how do you say, the concept of this one, please digest first. So what you need to do is you need to transform this table into diagram. And the most important thing is the sequence or the flow from this activity and predecessor. Predecessor is the previous activity. Okay. So here's the table. In case that your diagram is a little bit different, make sure that the arrow is correct. Okay, the arrows are correct. Okay, so whenever you erase the diagram, as long as the arrow are correct, then that is okay. Okay. Now after we have this diagram, so you need to create a 6 square or a table for each activity. So you need to create like a 6 square or a table like this one consists of two rows and then 3 columns for each activities. Okay. So why the purpose is to make you easier to fill in the numbers. Okay. Okay. So this one in the middle table, you need to write the name of the activity. The activity A, B, C, D, E, G, F, and H. So the name of the activity is put it in the middle. After that, after you fill in the name of the activity, what you need to do is you need to fill the duration. How do you get the number 0, 20, 10, 30, 20, 20, 40, and 0 is the duration. How where you can find the number of the duration? You can find in this table. This is the duration. Here they say minutes, not a day, not hours. So this is minutes. So you need to bring this number into the table, put it in the second lower table. So 0, 10, 20, 30, 20, 20, 40, and 0 is the number of the duration. Okay. Please, after this one, please digest first. Okay, so now we are start to write to fill the number of ES and EF. So early start and early finish. Okay. So how to write to fill the number of early start and early finish? Because A is the beginning of the process. So the early start is of course always 0 because it's the beginning of the activity. So early start is 0. So 0 plus 0 equal with early finish, which is 0. 0 multiply 0. 0 plus 0 equal with 0, okay? And then the early finish of the previous or the predecessor activity become the early start of the next activity. So the early finish of this activity become the early start of next activity. So if this is 0, you put 0 here and put 0 here, okay? When you already got this number, so 0 plus 10 equal with 10. 0 plus 20 equal with 20. Okay. Okay. So please keep in mind when you try to calculate the early start and early finish, you need to going forward. Okay. Going from the left to the right. Okay. After that, if you see there's a 2 arrow here combined together. So from this one, 10, they're going to this activity E. So with activity E, there's a two arrow, the purple arrow. There is a 10 and 20. Which one you need to choose? Because there is a two numbers, 10 or 20. Because early start, we would like to find the maximum time to finish a product. So you need to find the bigger number. So 10 and 20, of course 20 is bigger. So you put 20 here as the number. 20 plus 20 equal 40. So activity E finished. We move forward to activity D. So in D there is a 20 and 10 as well. So again, because we would like to calculate early start and early finish, you need to find the maximum time. So when you try to find the maximum time, you need to choose the bigger number. So 10 and 20, of course, is 20 is bigger. 20 plus 30 equal to 50. So D and E finish. Okay. Please digest first. Okay, next. We go to activity F first. We go to activity F first. So F, the predecessor activity E. So the early finish of activity E become the early start of activity F. Okay, so the early finish is 40 and then it's become the early start 40. So 40 plus 40 equal with 80. Now activity F finish. We move forward to activity G. So in the G, there's a two arrows, which is 50 and 80. Again, when we are trying to calculate ES and EF, we try to find the maximum number. So the bigger number, we need to choose the bigger number. 50 and 80, which one's bigger? Of course, 80. So 80, we put it here. So 80 plus 20 is 100. Activity G finished. Lastly, last one is activity H. So activity H, the predecessor activity, the previous activity is activity G. So the early finish of activity G become the early start of activity H. So 100 plus 0 is 100. Okay, so activity H finish. So you have got the number of early start and early finish. Please digest first because we move. Okay, the next step is we try to find the number of late start and late finish. If we are talking or we would like to find the number in late start and late finish, we need to move from backward. So from right, from this one to this one to the this side. So from the we need to move backward. The earliest finish of the activity A is become the late finish of activity A. So you just put a 100 because this is the, if we are talking about this one, this is the start number and this is the finish number. So you need to give the name the same exact number. So the early finish of activity A become the late finish of the activity A. So 100 minus 100 is 100. Okay, because this is moving forward, so we calculate with using minus. The activity is finished for finish. Next, the late start of the activity A become the late finish of activity G. So we put in 100 to 100 here. So 100 minus 20 is 80. Okay, so 100 minus 20 is 80, so it's finished. So this 100 minus 20 is 80, so the activity G is finished. Next one is active from the arrow. G they divided two activity which are D and F. Okay, so the early start of the activity G, the late start of the activity G become the late finish of activity F and D. So the 80 become the late finish of activity F and late finish of activity D. So 80 and 80. 80 minus 40, 40, and 80 minus 30, 50. So D and F finish. Okay. Next one. We move to activity E. So the late finish, the late start of activity F become the late finish of activity E. So the 40 here, you move forward to this one to bring to the late finish activity E. So 40 minus 20 equal with 20. Okay. Now we will continue to B and C. Please adjust first until this one. Okay. You can see here there is a two arrows they combine together. So there is a at the 50 and 20. Okay, because we are talking about late finish, we need to find the late or the latest time or the smaller number. Because early start we find the maximum number, and then for the late finish and late start we find the minimum number. So you can find in the middle which one is the critical, the gap, or sorry, the in between. If you try to calculate the maximum and the minimum, you will find the most critical time. Okay, because we are talking about late finish and late start, so we use the smaller number or the minimum number. So 50 and 20, which one is smaller? Is 20. So put 20 here and put 20 as the late finish of B and C. 20. So 20 minus 10 is 10, and 20 minus 20 is 0. Okay, 20 minus 10, 10, 20 minus 20 is 0. Okay. Finally, there is a 10 and 0. They combine together into activity A. So 10 and 0, which one is the smaller number? The smaller number is 0. So put 0 here. 0 minus 0, 0. So we are finished, complete all of the diagram. Please digest first. Okay, we haven't finished, so we need to find the critical path. So the purpose of this one, we need to find the most important activity. So how we find the most important activity from all? If you don't have this diagram, how do you focus on the important activity? Maybe some of the activity not really important. It means that you can do it later or not really pay attention. But of course, some of this activity is the critical, so you really need to pay attention. Okay, so how to find the critical or the most important activity? First, you need to find the same number between EF and LF. So you need to find which number from the early finish and the late finish, which one is the same one. 0 and 0, both are same. So this is critical part or critical activity. 10 and 20 is not same. So this is not critical part. 20 and 20, same. So this is critical. 50 and 80, they are not same. So this is not critical. 40 and 40 are same. So critical. 80 and 80, they're all same. So this is critical. 100, 100 same, and 100, 100 also same. So this is the critical is activity A, C, E, F, G, and H. With that said, which one is the activity the most important is A, C, E, F, G, and A. So if you want activity A start. So this is important. Activity C is get material for B. So this is the more important than the activity B. So activity C C is more important than activity B. Why? Because actually this is the critical number. Okay, so that is one. So the one that have the number is the critical path or the most important activity. Okay. After that, have any question, please digest first. Okay? Before we start continue our study. Now it's 9:33. 9:33. So we have the first attendance check first. For the IB student, please prepare your phone. This is for IB student, so please scan the QR code for IB student, okay? If you're IB student, please scan the QR code. If you cannot scan, please raise your hand now. You need to check your attendance both in Truncast and the system. Okay, so in the end of the semester, don't complain to me why I don't have any, why my attendance bad, my attendance are bad. So this is your own responsibility. It's not my responsibility. So you are the one that's scared. So if you're not telling me that you're scared, you didn't successfully scan, so this is your problem. Okay. Please make sure to check it regularly. This is for IB. So if you're IB student, please scan the QR code and make sure you scan successfully. All good for IB students? Oh, this is IB student. Okay, I will wait for you. All good? IB student, all good? Yes, you have problem? You need to meet me after the in the break time, okay? So I give you manual. Now it's SSM student. SSM student, please prepare your phone. Smart service management student, and then scan the QR code. This is for SSM student. Okay, make sure that you scan successfully. IB cannot scan, please raise your hand. Anyone from SSM cannot scan, please raise your hand. Everyone's good? This is for SSM students, so if you, please make sure that you scan. If you cannot scan, please raise your hand. Okay, all good? For SSM student, all good? Good. Anyone? You? You raise your hand, no? Finish? SSM student, all good? All good? Let's go. Okay. Hey, in the guys in the behind, are you okay? Finish? I you finish? Okay, you finish or not? Finish. Okay, so we are moving to the next section. This is the environment of organization. Okay, so this is the new chapter, the next chapter. So, in the environment of organizations, organizations usually operate within an environment that both support and limits their activity. So, these environment influences can be grouped into four main categories, which are economic environment, legal environment, social environments, and political environments. Okay, so there's a four category: economic environments, legal environment, social environments, and political environment. Okay. Okay, so the economic environment first, we are talking one by one. First one is economic environment. Economic environment refers to the demand for product or service and how wealth is created and distributed. So it means that how if you how to say produce a product or you doing some service, so how well your product or service will distributed to the consumer. And of course, it have a big impact. It has a big impact how business operate. Okay, for example, during a recession, consumers spend less, leading to reduced demand for luxury goods. Luxury goods is the expensive product like high-end electronic. A company like Apple may respond by offering more budget-friendly options to maintain sales. I know that some of the iPhone, like for example, iPhone XR or iPhone 16. I think it's the budget friendly. I mean the low end amongst the high end of Apple phones. So during recession, usually economic environments like the environments that influenced by economic condition of certain country. For example, if your country have a political issue like or a war or have a conflict internal inside your country, maybe it also impact the economy. Okay, so this is the situation of the economic, and then from the political, and then goes to the economic, and economic influence the capability people to buy something. Okay, but mostly the economic things. For example, currency. If the currency suddenly lower or not really good, of course it will impact uh, the the purchase capability or buying capability of consumer. Next one is legal environment. So legal is actually related with a law. So each country has laws that guide behavior. So in regions like in the US or European community, local laws may be influenced by broader federal or community laws. Okay, so each country of course they have laws. Like in Taiwan or your own country, another country, they have their own law that impact the business. For example, in the European Union, companies must comply with the General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR), which mandates strict data privacy rules. Some of the I know things like in the some of the country have the very strict of the material requirements. Something this one. So, talking about data privacy rule, for example, a company like Facebook adjusts its data handling practices to avoid hefty fines. So I think it's back then in the several years ago, Facebook has the problem issue because the owner Mark Zuckerberg they are carelessly spill the Facebook account data for another company, then the data used for the political election. And then a lot of people complained because their data misused or not correctly used. And then they reveal the data for political issue, and then it's not really good because of your data privacy. I think I have the video. Let's check the video.
I wish that I could snap my fingers and, in 3 months or 6 months, have solved all of these issues. We need to rethink our relationship with people and our responsibility there across every single part of what we do.
But also pushing back on criticism Facebook takes information without consent.
The vast majority of the data that Facebook knows about you is because you chose to share it.
Now, Zuckerberg's vowing he's still the best man for the job, while trying to reassure its billions of users it won't happen again.
I started this place, I run it, I'm responsible for what happens here. I'm going to do the best job helping to run it going forward.
And next,
Okay, so this is the problem. They say that there is some people, they claim, Mark also say that he admitted that some of the characteristics of the account of some of the Facebook account owner, as much as 4 million, I think it's like 87 million account. They are the data used by another company. The company name Analytica. I forget the name. It's like is this like analytic company for the I think that's one. So they use the data to the company, and the company do some research about the political things, so that the company use their Facebook user account to do some survey. And of course, this is not like if you do not choose this candidate or choose this person as a your political and you do not choose this person as your candidate, and then they use your data to that you already vote for this one. I don't think this is correct. So this is also data privacy. Really important, and of course the Facebook at that time, the business is not running very well, and then a lot of people in the US, they do not or delete their Facebook account. Of course it impact the business of the Facebook. So this one is the video cover Facebook 2000 Cambridge Analytica. Sorry, the video cover Facebook 2018 privacy scandal involving Cambridge Analytica, where CEO Mark Zuckerberg took responsibility for failing to protect user data. So up to 87 million users, mostly in the US, they have their data improperly shared to the Cambridge Analytica, and of course the Zuckerberg needs you responsible for this kind of issue. Okay. Number 3, environment of organization. Number 3 is social environment. So social environment, society influences what organizations do. In the past, businesses were allowed to operate freely without much interference. Today, businesses face more responsibility and cost due to societal expectation. So, before, for example, if you are not many people care about the environmental friendly. That's why they have like a lot of plastic product, a lot of styrofoam product, not really environment friendly. But in this era, because a lot of people more care about the environment, so a lot of business also need to comply that, okay, they need to comply with the environment friendly protection regulation, whatever it is. Okay. So for example, increasing awareness of environmental issue has led many consumers to prefer eco-friendly products. Companies like Tesla capitalize on this by producing electric vehicles that appeals to this growing concern for sustainability. So I know some of the product brand of the vehicles, they really have a concerns about the environment. Okay, so for example, Tesla is one of the biggest pioneer company that promote that this vehicle is like environmental friendly. The last one is political environment. So what I say, like some of the political of the country also influence the business. So in the political environment, the political system is the most powerful influence as it controls financial resources and laws. It decides
the type of economy and how national goals will be achieved. For example, a government might increase tariffs on imported goods to protect local industries. This could force a company like Toyota to reconsider its pricing or manufacturing location to remain competitive in that market. Just like in the last couple of months ago that the US President Trump, they declared that every country needs to pay some tariffs. So this is also impact business in all over the world, okay? Because like some of the product need to export to US or import from US, and then because of this tariff, they need to adjust the price of the product to until the they need to adjust the product so the consumer, of course, it impact the consumer because some of the product is getting more expensive. Some of this one. So this is also an example of political environment. I had a video to explain more about the political environment. Let's check the video.
Is that produced drinks with between 5 and 8 grams of sugar per 100 millilitres will be charged 18 pence per litre. It includes drinks like these. And a higher tax of 24 pence per litre for companies who produce drinks with more than 8 grams of sugar per 100 millilitres. It will raise an estimated £520 million each year for primary school sport. Firms have 2 years to change recipes and will decide whether to pass on extra costs to customers.
There are around 6 teaspoons of sugar in a typical serving of this cola. But this isn't just about what goes into sugary products like this. It's also about how they're being sold. And changing that could be as big a shake-up as transforming the recipe.
The minimum wage for those aged 23 and over, the living wage.
This is another case.
That means a full-time worker will earn more than £1,000 extra a year before tax. For people aged 21 to 22, the minimum wage will go up from £8.36 to £9.18. The rate for apprentices will go from £4.30 to £4.18 an hour.
Scotland was the first country in
This is
Europe
the
to
third
introduce
case
minimum
for
pricing
soda.
for alcohol. The policy, which was brought in 4 years ago, requires all licensed premises to set a floor price of 50p a unit.
But the policy hasn't stopped people who are dependent on alcohol paying extra. A study published by Public Health Scotland discovered those on tight budgets have cut back spending on food and heating so they can keep their drink.
Set out now what these changes are. Firstly, we intend to limit the availability and operation of click and collect retail services. Only retailers selling essential offer collect. This will include, for example, clothes, footwear, baby equipment, baby and boots, or other collect services. Secondly, we intend to apply restrictions to takeaway services. Customers will no longer be permitted to go inside to collect takeaway food or coffee. Any outlet wishing to offer takeaway will have to do so themselves after closing. Thirdly, we intend to change the rules around consumption of alcohol. At the moment, different parts of Scotland have different laws in relation to consumption of alcohol in outdoor public places. However, from Saturday, it will be against the law in all levels of areas to drink alcohol outdoors. Fourthly, and significantly, we intend to strengthen the obligation of employers to allow their staff to work home when possible. 14 years ago,
This is the fourth case.
Then to 20, from £30 to £45 during the pandemic, now SAP.
About the cashless payment.
So too do the
Okay, so actually this video there's a combination of several issues. If you notice, the first one is about a tax for sugar. The tax about sugar, because as you know that Coca-Cola they have more than 6 spoons of sugar inside. So the sugar tax actually limit if the drink company would like to add sugar, they will think, oh, because if I add so much sugar, my price per bottle gonna be more expensive and no people buy my product. This is the sugar tax, case number one. And then case number two is about the salary, living, how to say, minimum salary for the part-time wage for people. I know in Taiwan it's around, I don't know how many amount per hour is 200. I think it's around $200, right? So in this case, they would like to improve or increase the salary per hour or salary wage, minimum wage for people more than 23 plus years old. If you're 23 plus years old, so you eligible to have increasement of your salary. Second case. This one is about alcohol. This one is about alcohol. They say that in the Scotland, they say that the alcohol is lower. I know in some country, I don't know, maybe in the European country that the price of the alcohol is very cheap, and maybe cheaper than the sparkling water. I don't know. So, and then there is some regulation that say that they would like to have some regulation. For example, like if I'm not mistaken, you cannot buy takeaway. So you cannot buy and then bring it outside. So you need to drink the alcohol inside the cafe or in the bar. You cannot take away the alcohol. Okay, and also it will increase the price of the alcohol. And the fourth, about the cashless. I know this is the cashless payment. Nowadays they have not so many, all of the business using card or cashless payment. They just tap it. So this is also good. So you you don't have to bring so much coins. So this is their 4 cases. We will discuss about it. Some question about it. Let's see. Okay, so have some question about it. We will discuss later after the break. So we take a break for 10 minutes.